I gave my daughter a small hotel on the lakeshore as a gift. 1 year later, I walked into the lobby and found her in a stained housekeeping uniform, scrubbing other people's toilets, while her husband sat in my leather chair calling himself executive director and telling me I was no longer welcome in their office. He said if I wanted to stay, I had to pay full price like any other guest. What would you do if you were me? If you think giving your children everything guarantees gratitude, read this to the end. Then tell me whether I went too far or not nearly far enough. My name is Daniel Moore. I am 69 years old, a widower, a grandfather, and for most of my life I built and renovated small hotels and apartment buildings around the Midwest. I am not rich by television standards, but I did well enough to retire, pay off my house in Duluth, and still have something to pass on. I have one daughter, Emily, and one granddaughter, Sophie, who is 9 and still believes I can fix anything with a screwdriver and some duct tape. Until last year, I thought I could fix my family too. The hotel was supposed to be my goodbye to work. It was a tired 30-room place on the shore of Lake Superior in northern Wisconsin. Faded sign, damp carpets, old mattresses that had seen every possible story. The previous owner, an older widower, was sick and moving to Florida. I bought it 2 years after my wife Diane died, not to get rich, but to keep from rusting away in my own grief. Renovating it gave my days shape. I ripped out carpets myself. I sanded the old oak lobby floor until my shoulders burned. I painted ceilings at midnight and listened to the waves slap against the rocks outside. I wired in decent Wi-Fi, put in new beds, replaced the rotten deck with a wide platform where you could drink coffee and watch the sun climb out of the lake. The work pulled me out of the grave I had dug in my head after Diane's funeral. Emily started driving up on weekends with Sophie. She had always loved the lake as a kid. Watching her walk the dock with her own daughter on her shoulders, laughing in the same way her mother used to laugh, felt like someone had opened a window in a sealed room. "Dad, this place is magic," she said one evening on the half-finished deck. We wore sweatshirts. The air was sharp with pine and cold water. If Mom could see it, she would be proud of you. She would say I overpaid for the lumber, I said. Then she would pick out different curtains. Emily smiled, and for the first time in a long time, it did not hurt to look at her. She had a hospitality management degree that had never gone anywhere. Life pulled her into office jobs, then into motherhood, then into part-time work at a dentist's office while her husband built his career. Here in this small hotel, she woke up. She walked the halls taking notes, asked about occupancy and events, stood in the empty event room and saw weddings and yoga retreats and corporate meetings. "Dad," she said late one night, "what if this is mine someday?" That question hit me harder than she knew. I had been thinking the same thing. "What if," I said, "it is yours now?" Her face went slack. "What do you mean?" I had already spoken to my lawyer. We had set up a holding company for the land and building. The operating business would be a separate company in Emily's name. She would own the hotel business, run it, and keep the profits. I would keep legal ownership of the land and structure and lease it to her company under certain conditions. No transferring control without my written consent. No using my personal assets as collateral. No changing the use of the property. Basic maintenance standards. It was not meant as a trap. It was my way of giving her something while still making sure a bad decision would not wipe out everything. We signed the last documents a week before her wedding. At the rehearsal dinner, I stood up, my hands shaking, and announced that as a wedding gift I was giving Emily the Lakeshore Hotel to run as her own business. The room went quiet, then exploded in congratulations. Emily burst into tears and hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. Her fiancé, Tyler Harrison, shook my hand with both of his. He was mid-30s, angular, always in a blazer, with an MBA and a job at a marketing firm in Minneapolis. "You did not have to do that, sir," he said. "We will make you proud, I promise." I believed him. I believed Tyler talked in phrases like branding, positioning, and optimizing revenue. I had built my life in work boots and old trucks. He lived in presentations and coffee shops. I never liked his slickness, but he seemed to love Emily. She insisted he would be an asset. Let him help, she told me. You know buildings. He knows business. We will be a team. Sometimes team means one person holds the pen while the other signs. For the first 6 months after the wedding, the reports sounded good. I stayed mostly in Duluth, giving them space. Emily sent pictures of a new sign, North Shore Haven, fresh paint, new logo. My last name disappeared from the branding, but I told myself that was vanity. She sounded tired on the phone, but excited. It is a lot of work, she said. Tyler says it is normal in the first year. We barely sleep, but bookings are up for summer. I did not push. I remember thinking, let her run it. You had your time. When Sophie came to stay with me in May, I noticed she talked less. Do you like living at the hotel? I asked, flipping pancakes. She shrugged, dumping in too many chocolate chips. Mom works all the time, she said. Tyler says if she wants people to take her seriously, she has to prove she is not just the owner's spoiled daughter. My hand stilled on the spatula. Who told you that? She stared at the batter. I am not supposed to repeat things. 9-year-olds should not carry adult insults in their pockets. I almost called Emily right then, but I talked myself out of it. Old men see ghosts where there are none. Then July came. I decided to drive up one Friday without warning. The forecast promised heat and sun. The hotel would be full. I loaded a new espresso machine in the truck as a surprise and a cooler full of steaks. I imagined grilling with Emily and Sophie on the deck after the dinner rush, talking about future plans. The closer I got, the lighter I felt. Old habit. The pines, the glint of blue water, the worn curve in the road where the hotel came into view. It looked successful. New sign, flowers, full parking lot. I parked near the side door where I had always parked, now marked management parking only. I smiled at that and walked inside. The lobby smelled like lemon cleaner and fresh coffee. Guests milled about in shorts and sandals. A young man in a shirt and tie stood behind the desk, eyes on the computer screen. Good afternoon, he said. Checking in? I'm looking for Emily Moore, I said. Or Tyler. He gave me a quick glance. Do you have an appointment? I am her father. That made him pause. He picked up the phone, dialed an extension, and said, Mr. Harrison, Emily's father is here. Yes, sir. I will send him back. Mr. Harrison. Down the hall, second door on the left, the clerk said. Director's office. Director. I walked down the hallway I had painted myself. Wedding photos and framed articles lined the walls, naming North Shore Haven, the new jewel of the lake. At the second door I knocked once and walked in. Tyler sat behind the big oak desk from my old law firm auction find. He wore a dark blue suit and a silver tie. On the desk, a gold plate read, Tyler Harrison, Executive Director. He did not stand. Daniel, he said, you should have called. We are very busy. I can see that, I said. Where is Emily? I thought I would surprise you. He opened his mouth, but another door in the office swung inward. A woman stepped in carrying a stack of linens. Gray housekeeping polo shirt, black pants, hair stuck to her forehead with sweat. It took me a second to realize it was my daughter. Sorry, Tyler, she said, not looking up. We are short on towels in... Then she saw me. The linen slipped from her arms. Dad? The three of us froze in place. Emily in a housekeeper's uniform, Tyler in a suit, me in the doorway with my keys in my hand. Why are you dressed like that? I asked. What is going on? Tyler answered first. We rearranged responsibilities, he said smoothly. Emily wanted to learn operations from the ground up. It is a leadership philosophy. Emily stared at the floor. We are short on staff, she murmured. It is temporary. How long is temporary? I asked. She hesitated. Since May. You have been cleaning rooms for 2 months, I said slowly, while he sits in my chair and calls himself director? Dad, please, she whispered. Do not start. Do not start? I felt something hot climb my throat. I gave you this hotel so you could be the one sitting at that desk, not so you could scrub toilets while he... Enough, Tyler cut in. This is not your office anymore, Daniel. You gave the business to Emily. Our arrangement has changed. I still own the land, I said. I still own the building. That arrangement has not changed. He smiled without warmth and reached for a leather folder. Actually, we should talk about that, he said. You signed the transfer of operational control, the management agreement, the refinance documents. You are a non-managing owner now, a silent partner. He slid papers across the desk. My own signature looked back at me on dense paragraphs of legal language. You signed an amendment in March, he said. At the bank. Remember? Just some minor updates. I thought back to that day. Snow piled outside, the banker sliding a stack of papers toward me, yellow tabs marking where to sign. Tyler saying, It is just to lock in a better rate, Daniel. They are waiting on us. We are late already. I had skimmed, trusted, signed. I never signed away approval rights, I said. You signed the amendment, he repeated. We brought in investors to stabilize things. You were dragging your feet. We did what we had to do. Investors? I asked. My parents, he said. They put in serious money. My father is CFO. This is not a hobby. This is a real business now. My stomach turned. You brought your parents into my hotel without telling me? Our hotel, he corrected. Emily flinched. Dad, please. The renovation bills were coming due. Tyler's parents helped. It all happened fast. How many hours did you work this week? I asked her. She did not answer. Tyler smirked. She is building character, he said. You always said you started at the bottom. We are honoring the family tradition. In that moment, I stopped being just angry. I became deliberate. I want to see the financials, I said. Now, every account, every loan document. That is not appropriate, he replied. You will receive summaries when I have time. Right now, we have guests to serve. If you want to stay, book a room, but do not interfere with my staff. Your staff? I repeated. We stared at each other, neither blinking. I am going to walk around my building, I finally said. I am going to say hello to my granddaughter. Then I will leave, but this is not finished. I stepped out before I did something I could not take back. Sophie found me down on the narrow strip of beach. Grandpa! She yelled, running down the sand. She hit my chest with a force that surprised me. I did not know you were coming, she said. Mom said you and Tyler were fighting. Your mom is working very hard, I said carefully. How do you like living here? She shrugged, kicking at the sand. Tyler says Mom has to prove she deserves what she has, she said. He says you almost lost the hotel because you're stuck in old ways and do not understand debt. He says if you keep interfering, he will make sure we never see you again. My jaw clenched. Who told you that? I asked. I am not supposed to say, she whispered. He says you twist things. Do I twist things? I asked gently. She looked up at me, torn between love and loyalty. He reads Mom's emails before she sends them, she said in a rush. He took her name off some papers. She cried in the laundry room and told me not to tell you. There was a red folder with our names on it. He said it was about the future. He said you will not be around forever, so we should not base our lives on what you want. Old burden. In the space of a minute, my role in my own family had been reduced to a problem to be solved. I walked her back to the lobby, kissed her forehead, and told her I had some calls to make. On the way out, I passed Emily's old office. The door was half open. Inside, boxes crowded the walls. On the desk sat a picture of Emily and Sophie wrapped in towels on the beach. A file cabinet drawer was slightly ajar. I knew I should leave. Instead, I opened it. Invoices, reports. Then a red folder labeled in neat handwriting, Transition plan, future structure. Inside were printed emails between Tyler and his parents, spreadsheets, and a memo. The plan was simple. Use my property and Emily's company to secure a second, larger hotel in Duluth owned entirely by Tyler and his parents. Shift high-value events and clients to that new property. Let North Shore Haven sink under its debt. When it failed, they would still have the new hotel. If I resisted, there was a second stage. Bring my paid-off house into a refinance as additional collateral and push me legally toward long-term care so assets could be efficiently managed and eventually sold. My name appeared next to phrases like asset liquidation, estate burden, and timeline for assisted living. On one draft agreement, Emily had added a comment bubble in her own words. I can get him to sign. He trusts me. That sentence hurt more than the rest of it combined. I put everything back, shut the drawer, and drove home shaking. That night, at my dining table, I spread out the documents my lawyer emailed. The original lease between my holding company and Emily's operating company, the bank refinance, the management agreements. On a legal pad, I wrote 3 questions. What did I actually give away? What did they change without my consent? What can I still take back? I am not a saint. When I was young, I lost a building to a crooked partner. I spent the next decade making sure that would never happen again. Every deal I made after that had a back door, some small clause everyone else skimmed that gave me an escape if I needed it. The lease for the Lakeshore Hotel had such a clause. Buried midway through was a section stating that if the tenant, Emily's company, ever transferred management control to a third party without my written consent, or used my personal residence as collateral, or substantially changed the use of the property, I could terminate the lease unilaterally. If I did, the right to occupy and operate the hotel would revert to my holding company. Any goodwill or improvements would stay with the property. In plain language, if they tried to cut me out or gamble with my house, I could legally throw them out and keep everything. I called my lawyer, Mark Hansen, first thing in the morning. Tell me if I am reading this right, I said, and read him the clause. You are reading it right, he said. If they brought in his parents as controlling partners without your written consent, that is a breach. If they tried to use your house as collateral, that is another. What happens if I terminate? I asked. You become the operator again, or you put someone you trust in that position, he said. They can sue, but the paper is on your side. And if the bank approved a refinance without accounting for that clause, you actually have leverage over them too. Emily signed some of those documents, I said quietly. She is not innocent. She may be legally responsible, Mark said, and still morally manipulated. Your job is to separate her from the man driving this bus, then decide how hard you want to hit him. I sat in silence a moment. Then we hit him where it hurts, I said, money and reputation, and we give Emily a place to land. Over the next month, I did what I do best. I worked a plan. First, the bank. I asked to meet with the regional manager, Teresa, someone I had worked with years earlier. I brought the lease, highlighted the control transfer clause, and let her read it. You are telling me, she said slowly, that our loan is secured by a tenant whose right to the property can be terminated at your discretion because of this breach? Yes, I said, and the breach has already occurred. She did not like that. Her job exists to avoid that sentence. What do you want? She asked. I want you out of my way, I said. Transfer the loan to my holding company at a reasonable discount, and I will sign a release acknowledging your oversight. 3 weeks later, my company owned the note on the hotel. Tyler received a routine letter saying his loan had been transferred to a different servicer. He never looked closely enough to see it was me. At the same time, I called the county building inspector and mentioned some concerns about blocked exits and exit signs that did not work. I called the health department about the grease trap. I called the labor board about unpaid overtime for housekeeping staff, based on things Emily's coworkers had quietly told me in the parking lot. I did not manufacture anything. I simply pointed the right people to a place where I knew, with Tyler in charge, there would be problems. Then I called Maria. Maria had been my assistant manager on 3 different properties over the years. No one ran a small hotel like she did. She had supposedly retired to help her son with his restaurant, but I knew she missed the rhythm of guests and seasons. "How would you like one more project?" I asked over lunch. She listened as I told her everything. The gift, the takeover, the red folder, the lease clause. My plan. "You want to pull the ground out from under your son-in-law," she said, "and catch your daughter before she hits hard." "That is about right," she nodded. "Then you need somewhere to catch her." There was another property up the road, a 10-room lodge that had gone bankrupt the year before. The bank could not move it. Older place, good bones, a dock, and a decent little beach. I had already started talking to them. Within 2 weeks, a separate company I controlled owned it for less than 1 good year's profit from the Lakeshore Hotel. We cleaned it up fast, painted rooms, fixed roofs, repaired the dock, installed a simple booking system. Maria handled hiring. I named the company Sophie's Harbor LLC, but on the sign we ordered it would be Harbor Light Lodge. I did not want the name to tip off Tyler. By late August, the smaller lodge was ready. It was not fancy, but it was solid and clean and under our full control. Then I chose the day to spring the trap. Labor Day weekend. They had a wedding booked, a full house of holiday guests, and a corporate retreat arriving Sunday. Highest pressure, maximum visibility, the worst possible moment for trouble. 2 days before, I called Emily. "Dad, I really cannot talk," she said. She sounded wrung out. "I will keep it short," I said. "I am coming up on Saturday. We need to talk privately. No Tyler." "Tyler says—" "I do not care what Tyler says," I cut in. "Meet me by the delivery entrance at noon. If you do not come for yourself, come for Sophie." She was quiet a long moment. "Okay," she whispered. "I will be there." On Saturday, I parked by the road instead of in the management space. I watched the hotel from a distance for a while, letting the familiar anger settle into something cooler. At 11:45, the county building inspector's white sedan pulled into the lot. 10 minutes later, the health inspector arrived. They went straight to the front desk, showed their IDs, and asked for the director. Tyler came out, charm ready. I watched his face flicker when he realized this was not a social visit. Emily slipped out the side door in her uniform, breathing hard. "What is going on?" she asked. "We have a wedding party arriving. Tyler says inspectors never just show up." "They do when someone reports issues," I said. "And there are issues." "Did you do this?" she whispered. "I am making sure he cannot run this place into the ground on my land," I said. "But that is not the only reason I am here." I handed her an envelope, copies of the red folder documents, a summary from my lawyer explaining their plan in plain English. She read standing there by the dumpsters, her hand over her mouth. Her eyes darted over mentions of the second hotel, the plan to move business away, the estate consolidation, the assisted living timeline for me. "He told me it was just estate planning," she said, "that we were protecting you from taxes. I did not understand half of it. He said if I slowed things down, we would lose the hotel." "And you believed him," I said softly. "Because you were exhausted and you loved him." She nodded, blinking back tears. "I signed things without reading," she whispered. "He put them in front of me and I signed. I thought you were being old-fashioned and stubborn. I did not know he was planning to get rid of you." "He was planning to get rid of us both," I said, "just in different ways." Shouting from the lobby cut through our conversation. We stepped inside. The building inspector was pointing out expired fire extinguisher tags, a blocked emergency exit, a dead exit sign. The health inspector was noting food storage problems. None of it was catastrophic alone, but together, on a holiday weekend, It was enough. "I have to temporarily suspend your operating permit," the inspector told Tyler. "You can keep current guests for tonight if certain corrections are made immediately, but no new check-ins until re-inspection on Tuesday." "You cannot do that," Tyler sputtered. "We have contracts." "You can appeal," the inspector said. "This is the order." He handed him a yellow paper. The wedding coordinator, a sharp woman with a clipboard, marched over. "What is happening?" she demanded. "My clients are on their way. Do they have rooms or not?" Tyler's face was red. His eyes landed on me standing near the hallway with Emily. "You did this," he hissed, striding over. "You bitter old man. You are sabotaging your own daughter's business." "I am protecting my property," I said calmly. "And my daughter. You turned her into your maid and hid plans to strip me of everything I own." "You signed the amendments," he snapped. "You are a silent partner. You have no say." "I own the land," I said. "And as of 3 weeks ago, I own your loan." He blinked. "What are you talking about?" "The bank assigned your note to my holding company," I said. "You got the letter. You just did not read it. So now I am your landlord and your lender. You built your castle on my ground." He looked uncertain for the first time. "You are bluffing," he said. I took a folded document from my pocket, the original lease, with the termination clause highlighted and a signed notice attached. "This is a formal termination of the lease with your operating company," I said. "Effective today. You breached by transferring control to your parents without my written consent and attempting to use my house as collateral. As of right now, you have no legal right to occupy or operate this hotel." "You cannot just kick us out," he said. "We have a business, staff, events." "They will all have options," I said. "You, however, will not be running any of it." The wedding coordinator cut in again, voice sharp. "My clients are arriving. Do they have rooms or not?" "Not here," I said, "but they do a mile down the road at Harbor Light Lodge. I own that property. My manager is there now. If you agree, we will honor your contract there at a discount and shuttle your guests at our expense." Maria stepped forward from the crowd, calm and steady. "I am the manager at Harbor Light," she said to the coordinator. "We have 10 rooms ready now, another 10 by this evening. Better quiet, better views, and a bar that actually knows how to serve a line." The coordinator looked at Tyler, who was sweating and arguing with the inspector, then back at us. "You can either spend your weekend fighting code violations," Maria said, "or let us save your event." It took her only a few seconds. "Send me the address," she said. "We are moving." Guests who had been hovering stepped closer, asking about availability at Harbor Light. Staff watched with a kind of cautious hope. Word would spread fast. The owner had taken back the hotel. The manager had another place ready. Jobs might be waiting. Tyler saw the shift in the room and turned back to me, eyes blazing. "You will ruin Emily," he said. "You will ruin your own daughter to punish me." "No," I said. "I have a job waiting for her. You, on the other hand, have 30 minutes to remove your personal belongings from this property. After that, you are trespassing." "We do not even have security," he said. Maria moved to my side. "We do now," she said. "And for the record, half the staff has already asked me about work at Harbor Light." He turned to Emily, his last card. "Tell him," he begged. "Tell him he cannot do this. This is your life." Emily's face was streaked with tears, but her voice was steady. "You lied to me," she said. "You told me everything was for our family. You told me my father was dangerous with money. You told Sophie that he would twist things. You were planning to put him in a home and sell his house." "It was just planning," he said. "It was not final." "You were going to cut him out of the hotel he built," she said. "You made me scrub bathrooms while you sat behind his desk. I am done, Tyler. Leave." He stared at her, realizing she was not going to save him. "You will regret this," he said finally, pointing at me. "Both of you." "Maybe," I said, "but not as much as we would have regretted doing nothing." He disappeared into his office, gathered a few things, and left through the side door. No scene, no screaming, just a quiet exit from a place that was never truly his. When the last of the wedding party's luggage was loaded into the shuttle van and the inspectors posted their notice on the front door, the lobby finally fell quiet. Emily stood by the laundry room door, looking lost. Sophie clung to her hand. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now," I said, "we go up the road." I handed her another envelope. "Harbor Light Lodge needs a general manager," I said. "So does any future expansion. Maria will train you. The company paperwork is clean. No hidden investors, no tricks. It is yours to earn, not a gift." "What about this hotel?" she asked, glancing around. "It will stay dark for a while," I said. "I will fix the violations, bring in crews, and reopen it when we are ready. On our terms this time, not Tyler's." She looked at the envelope, then at me. "You planned all of this," she said. "The inspectors, the loan, the new lodge?" "Yes," I said. "Because you were angry?" "Yes." "Because you love me?" "Yes." She stepped forward and hugged me so hard my ribs hurt. "I am sorry," she whispered, "for signing things I did not understand, for believing him over you, for letting him talk about you the way he did." "I am sorry too," I said, "for not pushing earlier, for thinking I could just walk away after I handed you a business. That was my mistake." Sophie wrapped her arms around us both. "Do I get to work at the new lodge?" she asked. "I can carry napkins." "You get to be the assistant to everyone," I said, "starting with the ice cream freezer." That was a year ago. Now I am sitting on the deck at Harbor Light Lodge, watching the evening light hit the lake. The sign over the entrance says, "Harbor Light, a Moore family retreat." Maria runs the daily operations. Emily is learning to be an actual manager, not someone's puppet. She still sometimes doubts herself. When she does, she walks the rooms, checks the books, and remembers she answers to herself and to me, not to some slick man in a suit. Sophie spends the summers carrying water pitchers and folding napkins, under very strict limits on her hours. She knows enough of the story to understand this. Her grandfather refused to be pushed aside. Her mother chose a different path. And love is sometimes a locked door instead of an open one. The old hotel, the one that was North Shore Haven, is being quietly repaired. When it reopens, it will have a new name. I am considering Diane's Landing after my wife, who never let anyone push her around. Maybe someday Emily will take it over again, when she is ready and when the paper matches the trust. Tyler is living with his parents as far as I know. His marketing firm did not like the attention that came with the closure, the inspections, the bank's quiet embarrassment. Eventually there was a polite statement, a resignation, and an empty office. Last I heard, he was selling cars, telling anyone who listens that his crazy old father-in-law blew up a thriving hotel out of spite. His parents are being repaid under a schedule my lawyer negotiated. Slowly, legally, with all the interest the law allows, but none of the cruelty my anger wanted in the darkest moments. Emily filed for divorce 6 months after Labor Day. In court, when Tyler's lawyer claimed I had manipulated events to cut his client out of the family business, the judge looked at the lease, the emails, the red folder. "From what I can see," she said, "Mr. Moore did not manipulate anything. He simply refused to be robbed." Sometimes late at night, when the guests have gone quiet and the only sound is water on rock, I replay the day I walked into that office and saw Emily in that uniform. I remember the look on her face when she realized what Tyler had planned for me. I remember the moment he understood that the old man he thought was finished still knew how to read a contract. I will not pretend it did not feel satisfying, but I also know I engineered a public collapse on a holiday weekend. I let inspectors walk in when I knew the impact would be maximum. I arranged for his humiliation to be seen by guests, staff, his own wife. I could have chosen a quieter way. That is why I am telling this story to strangers. So tell me honestly, was I right to do what I did? Was I right to take back the hotel, to call in inspectors, to move the wedding party and staff to another lodge I owned, to let my son-in-law hit the wall he had built for me. If you were a man my age, watching your daughter scrub toilets in the hotel you bought while her husband planned to put you in a home and sell your house behind your back, would you have done less, or would you have gone further than I did?
My grandpa's worst really happened. I believe him. If you want more true tales like this, hit subscribe.